We've got Null Counter Disrupt as the Attune skill and a really stacked Sacred Stones banner. So here we have got Ascended Amelia, and she does have a preferred skill, which not a lot of Ascended units usually end up getting. And she is going to be a Lance Armor. So she's going to be functioning as a Far Savior, can even function as a Near Savior, but she does get the distant counter effect. So she's got Lance of Grado as her preferred weapon. This gives her minus and special cooldown. And at start of turn, if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, then she can give herself and the allies in 2 spaces the +6 defense and resistance buff and the special charges status and also the dull alt status. So she's going to be ignoring any kind of visible buffs of the enemy, and she's also able to retaliate back with Armored Beacon because of the special charges status. And this is going to be helping your allies as well. So I don't want to say it, but she can function in a Gale Force team because of having the special charges status, and she can actually function as a Gale Force armor like the good old days because she is a fast unit. And then if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, then she's going to be getting extra stats in combat depending on 5+ the number of allies in 3 spaces multiplied by 3. So this is going to be max 14. So Omni plus 14 is something that she can get, and then she also negates any kind of penalties on herself. So full penalty neutralization is good for any kind of tank because we have a lot of ploy skills and a lot of sabotage skills, so having this on the weapon is pretty nice. It means that you don't really have to depend on something like Peony giving you that penalty neutralization status. And then she gets the 40% damage reduction from foe's first attack, including the brave hits, and she also heals up 7 HP after the combat. So this is a pretty nice weapon, giving some support to the allies and also to Amelia herself. And the visible status effects are going to be mattering for her slotty skill in Obsidian Tactics. So this is going to be giving her +9 to all of her stats, and she's going to be getting extra effects in combat depending on the value of X. So here X can be total number of bonus status active on her and the allies in 2 spaces. And I believe that it does count the status effects on the allies as another instance, because in the trailer they have shown that Ducil is going to be getting saved by Amelia, and she still gets the distant counter effect. So if the value is 1 or more, then she's going to be inflicting debuff of attack and defense in the combat on the foe, and this is going to be depending on the X value. So this can go up to all the way max 12, and then if she has got the value as 3 or more, then she gets a distant counter effect, and if it's 5 or more, then she gets the 50% damage reduction piercing, which not a lot of armors are going to be able to get without the Special Spiral 4. So her being able to get distant counter and damage reduction piercing is really good for the compression, and she doesn't really need to run distant counter, melee Sacred Seal, and she comes with a really solid armor skill in Clever Fighter. So this is going to be debuffing foes' attack and speed by -4, and it does have the full null follow-up, but it increases the speed difference necessary to make a follow-up attack for the foe by 10. And then it also gives you the 10 flat damage reduction from foes' first attacks, including the brave hits. So having this all built in a slot B skill is going to be amazing for many of the fast armors. So you definitely need to be fast to utilize this and get the ridiculous flat damage reduction, which is going to be amazing on someone like Brave Corin, who already gets a bit of flat damage reduction with her weapon. So any of those units are going to be making amazing use out of this. And then she comes with the Far Save skill. But I was honestly expecting a tier 4 Far Save at this point with like Breath of Life built in, but I guess we're going to be getting it later down the line. So Amelia is going to be functioning as a pretty nice Far Savior, and more than that, she I think functions much better as a Near Savior because she's a Lance Armor and she's probably going to be having good bulk. So she could take on Winter Edelgard for the Near Save matchup because the Far Save matchups are really hard, and Amelia doesn't really have any kind of scowl effect or any kind of flat damage reduction from her weapon. So she might be lacking a bit when it comes to the Far Savior role, despite the fact that she has got distant counter in her slotty skill. So you could just run her with attack speed Near Save, and that is definitely going to be working even in the long run. If she was an Axe Armor just like her original version, she would be the Near Savior unit because of the weapon strangle advantage against Winter Edelgard, but even without it, I think that she can function as a pretty solid Near Savior, and the flat unpierceable damage reduction of Clever Fighter is going to be helping her even in the melee matchups. Forde is the red unit of the banner, and he's a Sword Cavalier. He's not exactly a 4-star focus, and that's why he has got a good preferred weapon. So he's going to be initiating combat here, and despite being a cavalier, he does come with a unity skill. So Wild Wind Sword is a 16 might weapon, giving him -1 special cooldown, and it also gives him the -7 speed and defense debuff. So these are the self debuffs which are going to be helping him with the weapon and also with speed defense unity that he comes with. And this is exactly something I wanted for Fallen Knight's weapon refine. But here we have it on another Spectrum Unity unit. So he has got Omni +5 for the stats in the combat, and then he has got the full Spectrum Unity effect. So he gets Unity to all of his stats, which is going to be stacking up with the Unity skill in the slot A. And if you run him with Legendary Male Robin, then that is the grand strategy stacking and another layer of Unity. But even without it, he can function because he has 2 layers of Unity. And then he also gets the true damage based on the total number of penalties on him multiplied by 1.5. So this is going to be giving him 21 true damage out of the self debuffs that he does to himself. And he also gets the full envelope effect out of the sword. And he also gets 40% damage reduction on foes' first attacks, including the brave hits. And then finally, he has got 7 HP healing after the combat. So a lot of generic effects, but the Spectrum Unity is really strong here, and the true damage based on his own penalties is also really solid. He does come with Speed Defense Unity, which is finally a skill a lot of units can run. And he also has Speed Defense Neutralize Force, so good to have this in the normal summon pool. So at the bare minimum, you're able to get Canto 2 out of this. And you could also run something like Inside Attack Speed, so that if you get panicked, you can get more stats out of the Unity effect in his weapon. So not the most insane unit, but still pretty solid nonetheless with the Spectrum Unity. And I'm glad that finally we've got Speed Defense Unity in the normal summon pool and as a skill. So we do see his stats, and he has got 45 base attack and 45 base speed. Probably going to be having a super boon in either of them. And he does have pretty good defense. So the Unity effect on his defense is going to be helping him quite a lot. And we see a lot of stats in the combat. So that's Forde. Pretty solid 5-star unit. And then we've got Nidavellir. So we are facing him in Tempest Trial. The Tempest Trial ends today, but I thought he would be some kind of attuned unit. But nope, he is no attuned unit, no mythic unit, despite being the founder of the Nidavellir realm. So he is a colorless Bow Cavalier, and he pretty much has the same weapon as he did in Tempest Trial, but he does come with Verge of Death as the slotted skill. So here he's gonna be just using his AoE special, no preferred special either. So Nidavellir Ballista gives him -1 special cooldown, and it also gives him Canto Distant Traveled +1. So this is gonna be max 4, and this is gonna be from turns 1 to 4. So the same restriction as Otra and Regan with their Canto. And at sort of turn 1 to 4, he's going to be giving himself -3 special cooldown at sort of every turn. And he gives -1 special cooldown to the allies in 2 spaces. And then he gives himself and the allies both the Hexblade status at sort of every turn. So this is going to be making him a pretty solid supportive Cavalier. And this is kind of in the same territory as Summer Mia, but he's a modern unit and has much better nuking potential. So he's going to be seeing usage in Aether Raid's defense and also in Summoner Duels for pre-charging the specials, and he himself can function as a pretty good AoE nuke. So he can get extra attack and speed in the combat depending on 20% of his speed at sort of combat, and that's why Verge of Death is a pretty good slotty skill for him. He also gets +6 attack and speed, so he pretty much gets around like 17 attack and speed in the combat. And he does have his speed super boon because we do know his stats from Tempest Trial. And then he also gets the true damage based on 20% of his speed, including the AoE special. So he does come with an AoE special, and he can pre-charge the AoE special on his own because of the special charges. So this kind of true damage is really good. And then he has got 30% damage reduction on foes' first attacks. So Nidavellir is going to be needing some skills because he doesn't really come with the best of the base kits. I mean, Verge of Death is pretty fine, but Seal Defense Res, not really so much. He doesn't even come with the inside attack speed that he had in Tempest Trial, so you'll have to build him up, but he's going to be a pretty solid range cavalry unit, giving the special charges support. The Hexblade support is also there, but most of the tanks that are good do have balanced mixed bulk, so it doesn't really help you too much against that. And I'm glad that he gets the true damage in the AoE specials. The final unit of this banner is going to be Attuned Eirika, and she's going to be an Axe Infantry unit, and she brings the Null Counter Disrupt Attuned skill. So that is going to be incredibly powerful for any kind of infantry tank like Brave Dimitri, for example. And you're able to use this on a lot of infantry tanks. Like Attuned Eirika also gets this, and she wants to run this over her guard attuned skill, which is bypassed by the null guard effects. So Eirika has got Sisterly Axe as her preferred weapon. This gives her -1 special cooldown, making Gust into a 2 cooldown special. And then she's got Phantom Speed +7 built in. And instead of turn, she gives herself and the allies in 2 spaces the +6 attack and speed buff, and also the dot status. So decent support, but dot status is not going to be seeing too much use against the damage reduction piercing that we've got. I mean, it's a good failsafe for Eirika herself, so that does help her. And then if she's within 3 space of an ally, then she's able to get Omni +14. She also gets flat damage reduction based on 20% of her speed, which is good if you're facing any kind of hardy bearing nuke. So Eirika not only functions as a good vantage unit, but can also, tank things because of her speed. And then she gets 50% damage reduction piercing and heals up 7 HP per attack in the combat. So this is not the after combat healing. Instead, it is going to be in the combat. So she functions as a tank while also functioning as a vantage unit. She does come with a special in Gust, which is probably going to be inhittable. So this is going to be a bit better Vital Astra, even though it's 3 cooldown and it doesn't give you damage reduction against AoE specials. And the reason why I say that is because this is going to be unpierceable damage reduction. So you get the special damage boosted by 50% of your speed, and if your speed is more than foe speed -4, then you're able to get the 40% unpierceable damage reduction like Armored Flow and Armored Beacon. So this is going to be helpful on many of the speedy tanks if you don't really want to run Godlike Reflexes, but a lot of times you could just run that and run Lagu's Friend and still function really well. Gust is going to be able to function with Lagu's Friend if you run it, because it is a 3 cooldown special, but on any kind of unit with a -1 special cooldown weapon, don't run this with Lagu's Friend. So that's a solid skill for the speedy tanks. Probably going to be infantry locked, just like Godlike Reflexes and Vital Astra. She also comes with distant bonus doubler, like Attuned Eirika, and she does have her preferred slot-based skill in Moonlight Bangle Q. So this is going to be giving her the advantage if her speed is more than or equal to foe speed -4. So this is going to be really solid with the special jumping and Time Pulse 4 that she comes with. So she's going to be inflicting -5 attack, speed, and defense debuff on the foe in the combat, and she also gets true damage based on 25% of foe's defense. So this is going to be high against many of the bulky units where you really want to have more true damage, so it works out really well for her. And then she has got special cooldown -1 jump before her first attack and also before her first follow-up attack. So she has got this special jumping, which also works as an anti-scowl in a way, and she also gets null guard out of this slot B skill. So she's going to be able to trigger Gust in the vantage range or even retaliate back with it if she faces any kind of hardy bearing enemy. And hardy bearing is definitely going to be seeing more uses because Eirika just does so much damage with Gust and also the damage reduction piercing from her weapon. And she herself is still pretty tanky, so she can live through a lot of stuff. And then she brings Null Counter Disrupt Echo. So this is going to be easily one of the best attuned skills out there because it is helping tanks so much against the sweep effect. And I might make a full video going over the best users of this skill because there are just so many good tanks that can make use of this. And there's also Brave Dimitri, and it also opens up options for many of the tanks because they can just run Lagu's Friend or any kind of other slot B skill in their slot B and still get Null Counter Disrupt effect out of this. And the other attuned skills don't really give it that much competition because we don't really have Soaring Echo or something like that for the infantry units. So Attuned Guard skill is pretty much the attuned skill that you run most of the time. And this attuned skill is going to be better than any of that. So yeah, Attuned Eirika is really solid, functions as a unique vantage unit. Kind of reminds me of Brave Marth, but her vantage is dependent on speed. And she does have Phantom Speed, so she's probably going to be aging better than Fallen Female Violet, but that speed-based vantage kind of does tend to fall off if we get a lot of speed creep. So you'll have to speed stack like crazy on Eirika if that does happen, and if she needs more speed to vantage. And here she's going to be taking out Crosshair through her insane amount of damage reduction, but it's not that big of an overkill. She gets 50% damage reduction. So if you have a lot of damage reduction on your nukes, she might not be able to kill them, I think, because it's only 50%. And we're going to be getting Ictanir as the boss. So if he dies, he's probably going to be becoming the mythic of this month. And Choose Your Legends is going to be coming next month. So that is something you can save for. But this banner is really stacked. And we're going to be getting Kyle as the instant demote. And there's also going to be Glen as the Grand Hero Battle Unit. I want to thank all of my 2 members for their constant support, and you can click the link on Instagram right now to check out my breakdown of this month's weapon finds, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Nidavellir having a preferred skill. So that's it, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.